Welcome back everybody to Let's Defend.io. Today we're going to work on the SOC104 exercise, Malware Detected. So as the previous portions, I'm going to go through and grab all the information, the event ID, event time, everything else like that, and put it into a notepad file. Now obviously this is outside the portion of the screen recording that I'm doing. But this way I can come back and refer to it as like with the previous cases for everything else that we're going to go through. So we're going to go ahead and get ourselves assigned to the case. Event ID 31. And we're going to go ahead and go through and do our investigation. So it looks like this was kicked off on John's computer with a executable that looks like it's masquerading as a purchase order, which obviously should never be the case. Word document, PDF, worst case maybe even an Excel document, but not an executable. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab the file hash, and we're going to go over to virus total, Old Faithful, and we're going to go ahead and do a search for the hash that was provided by the detection. And so 59 out of 72 virus scan engines detect this as malicious. It's within 3 days of recording, so I'm going to take this as a fairly good indication. And looking at the general names that are applied, this looks like it's the agent Tesla. So again, that will get marked down for later. And from here, we'll probably want to go through and take the file and dump it in for a sandbox for analysis. Leave full screen, and I've already gone through and submitted the files that were provided to via the alert to both hybrid analysis and any.run. So in the event I have to refer back to anything from these detections, I'll have the tabs open and available. So from the submission to hybrid analysis, it actually runs the sample in a Windows, well, this particular case it was a Windows 7 32-bit system. And it runs through and tries to interact with it to see as to what shakes out. And breaks down indicators. So the interesting aspect is here is, okay, large number of ARP broadcasts. We already knew that it was identified as malicious from the virus total detections. But it tells us that it shot SMTP, in other words email, to this IP address. Again, I'm going to grab that and I'm going to dump it into my notepad because I'm fairly certain we'll have to refer back to this. Call it a hunch. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the domain as well that it referred to. Now all that is just all the way down at the bottom of the sandbox submission. And what I'll do is I will include links to the virus total page and then the links to the hybrid analysis and the any.run. Alright, so we know this is malicious, and it looks like it tried to either make contact via email, or the CNCs via email, or data exfils via email. So we know that obviously this is bad. Very bad. Alright, so we've got all this together, and of course, worst case is that whatever AV's on John's computer did not take any sort of action, so this was allowed to actually go through and run. So more than likely we'll have to go back to the endpoint management and lock down John's computer. Well, I guess while we're going through here, let's take a look and see what else is going on. So there's our purchase order that we've already identified as being malicious. Chrome's running, Chrome Update's running, Adobe Reader's running, and Notepad's running. So nothing really here looks bad except for the purchase order. Network connections, okay, we don't have a log for that. How about the command history? It looks like somebody's trying to pull out the section of users on the box. Okay, how about browser history? Let's defend GitHub. How to update Chrome. Well, that's kind of interesting. So maybe it'd be interesting to find out as to where this executable came from, as to whether or not if they were looking for an actual page to update Chrome that then led them to something where, okay, you gotta pay this invoice in order to get help, so like a tech support scam. Was this something that was emailed in? It's all very interesting. But so we know this computer's infected, so I'm going to take the preventative, the proactive measure before we do the case, and I'm just going to go ahead and request containment for John's computer. So let's go ahead and move on and run through the playbook. So let's see, what's our threat indicator? Well, it looks like it was the AV that detected it, so we're not going to say that it's malfunctioning. Although, why it didn't kill the process would be kind of a question. But having sandbox it, if I had to say from the sandboxing portion, it would be unknown or unexpected outgoing internet traffic, all things considered. I mean, we got the notification, okay, that a malicious executable is running, but we don't know as to whether or not what the actual state of the AV is, correct? Just that it's a client, so yeah, we don't have any sort of state with that. So from the sandbox, we're just going to say unknown traffic, but actually let's do this. Let's take John's IP of 172.16.17.82, go back into log management, and let's put that down as the source. Okay, now we're seeing actual traffic. And we're seeing again that 208.91.199.22. Oh, we got 223. So something different than what we actually seen when we sandboxed. Here we go. So there's enough Google results, everything else like that from like Alien Vault, IP info, Anti-Hacker Alliance. That okay? This is more than likely a bad IP. Just going from this. Oh, LokiBot IOCs. Well, this is about 5 months ago, but still, you have to weigh that decision. But with everything that's going on and what we can actually see, that looks bad. Do we have any raw traffic we can look at? No. Of course not. But okay, so this puts forth definitely the case of that there's outgoing traffic. And given the fact that it was last octet of 224, translated to that smtp.japhethpumps.com, a good enough indicator. So we'll say unknown or unexpected outgoing traffic. Check to see if it's quarantined. Well, the initial status said that it was running, so it was not quarantined. We've already gone through and done the analysis. We know that it's bad. Agent Tesla and or LokiBot. Well, LokiBot IOCs from denoting from Alien Vault, but at least according to Virus Total, Agent Tesla. So the malware or the file, that purchase order, is definitely malicious. Alright, back to the artifacts again. Okay, so what we have from here is the MD5. And we're going to call that Agent Tesla. We have an IP address. That we can differentiate from the logs themselves for this particular incident. And we have a URL address. Granted, not so much from the log management aspect, but from our own sandboxing. And since we have a different IP address as well, I'm going to just enter that in there. And what I'll do is denote sandbox results. We'll just do some copying and pasting. Log management is where we pulled that. Okay, we've got everything filled out. We'll go next. Okay, we go back to log management. So let's go ahead and grab the destination address. We will dump that in there. We will remove the limitation for John's computer. And I'm not seeing anything else. So how about the one we pulled from our hybrid analysis sandboxing? Nope. So we only have John's machine going there. So reading this, they don't specifically say with the exception of John. John did actually go out to it. So we will answer yes. There we go. That hunch. So we'll verify that we've got the containment set for John's computer, which we do. And look at that, we finished another playbook. So we'll go ahead and turn it in. Malware on workstation. Not resolved. Signs of external comms. And then again, it is a true positive because the exe is indeed malicious, and we have outgoing communications to that 208.91.199.223, or if we did the sandbox, the .224. Go ahead and close alert. Continue. Alright, how did we do? We again got the answer correct that it was a true positive. We answered correctly that it, well, in this particular case, was not quarantined, that it is indeed malicious, and that John, or someone on John's computer, accessed the malicious IP address from those log files. So again, I brought it up on the last note, the SOC103. It would really be nice to know as to whether or not, since this is a simulation, like a maximum points possible, and maybe some sort of indication as to, what else we might have missed in the investigation. As I also addressed in the last video, going through and doing this in the real world, there is no overwhelming authority that will sit there and tell you that, hey, you missed X, Y, or Z. It all basically comes down as to what you're able to pull together. As to whether or not if that's, you yourself deep diving and running through, as to whether or not if you've got team members that are approaching it from different angles and they find something that you missed. Usually it's a whole team that works together on various aspects and then everything gets pulled together to do this, but you are your own one man or woman or whatever person team in this particular simulation. So you don't really have anybody else you can rely on. That or some sort of outside party. But like I said, being this a simulation, everything else like that, it would be very, very nice to know as to whether or not if we're missing a couple of points somewhere. Like maybe digging through everything if there was some other IOC that we missed. Maybe some sort of indication of like a second file or something else like that. Just letting us know if something was missed. But so there we have it. The intro, SOC 101, SOC 103, SOC 104 have all been run through for the free portion. Not able to sit there and do the 106 as it sits right now, as this is not a VIP account. I think that sometime this month, which is currently November 2020, there will be a refresh on the alerts to go through, so you should get more stuff that can be run through. I supposedly have VIP access coming due to the first video that I put out, and we'll continue to probably work through these. So I'll have to switch over once it's done, take a look and see about going this, SOC 106, and have to do a separate video on that. And unless I can sit there and work out some sort of way, it will be a permanently going by the seat of my pants, metaphorically, investigation, given the fact that as it sits right now with the 101, 103, and 104, I was able to sit there and run these things through before doing the video. Ergo, why I had the links and everything else put together. So we will see, and I will continue on. always open to constructive criticism in regards to any of these things. If there's audio problems, anything else like that. I mean, I listen to the stuff, but um, obviously it's entirely different for everybody else as to whether or not, you know, audio's too low, audio's too high, screen resolution set too high. You got constructive criticism, go ahead and leave a comment in the video. I promise I won't be mad. As long as it's constructive. Alright, everybody. I'll see you later.